Hey guys, welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. And alongside Chris, my name is Ryan Chambers. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. As I realized that my microphone was on the wrong thing, hopefully I sound a lot better now. Thank you all of you being here live this evening. We apologize for the delayed start here, but man, I am exhausted, Chris. How about you?
Yeah, I literally fell asleep. So, yeah, thanks a lot, Gary Bettman. Put me in the game at 9 p.m. last night. Clown joke.
Yeah, I love that. Chris and I, or James and I did the live stream last night till 11:30, and to be honest with you, I am kind of glad that we did not do an AGR after that because I would have been dead for work the next day, and I'm trying to avoid that for this year. So that's the big deal. Quite literally, guys, I haven't gotten a chance to go home. Like we were just at region marching contest. The school I work for is moving on to the next step in our process of going back to the state marching contest. So we're really excited about that. We literally got back at 9:20, and I'm here with you guys now. So you can't say that that we don't work hard. We're both here to talk some Stars hockey with you guys here this evening. So, Chris, anything otherwise that you want to kind of throw in there? Did you get a chance to listen to the last episode, or did you get a chance to watch the live stream at all, or anything like that?
No, I did not actually. So I am interested in hearing your takes on how the start of the season has gone.
I think you're going to be very interested in one of the talking points that I have for today, because James didn't want to hear any of it. So if that gives you any hint, that means you're probably not going to like it.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, probably not, because normally you and him side on the same thing. When we all agree on the same thing on something controversial, that's when you know that we've done something.
Yeah, that just means we're all wrong.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So okay. Anyways, what do you think of the 3-0 start so far?
Pretty ideal. I mean, I tweeted this earlier. It's the three best teams in the division outside of the Stars, and you won all three games. You can't ask for more than that. On the ice, absolutely, there's things to work on, as there should be. The season just started. I mean, you shouldn't be peaking at the very beginning, obviously. There are things to work on. I think they're pretty obvious, and there's plenty of time to work them out. In the meantime, the fact that you can play three games, not play your best, and win all of them against three good teams, that is a fantastic sign that you've got a great hockey club that can only get better.
So, if you had to pick like one word to fit your mood after the Minnesota game, what would you pick?
Excited. Like I said, I am still more optimistic than anything. I know the last two wins happened the way that they did, and there is large sections of time where the Stars were on their heels. Finding ways to beat those three teams in a row is fantastic. It's an amazing start to the year. It really is. Despite any slight flaws you saw in their game, the results speak for themselves, and that's an amazing start to the season with how tough that initial schedule was.
So let's talk about the Minnesota game. It was the Minnesota game, but it was in Dallas. You can tell I'm tired. It was a home opener for Dallas yesterday. The biggest news was that Lyubushkin was scratched in favor of Petrovic. I was a little bit surprised, but not 100% surprised. What did you think of that decision?
Yeah, I was more surprised that Adam Ernie wasn't in. I mean, I thought both of them would have gone in at the same time, and I didn't think Ristkovian had done fantastic in those first two games, but I wasn't surprised at all by it. I figured those two would get in at least by game 3.
Adam Ernie is just like a little bit of extra security blankets. Like he
Right.
played really well during training camp that he earned a spot, and that's why he's on a 2-way rather than like a 1-way. Is because he's right on that cusp of playing in the AHL, but probably good enough to kind of give you some fourth line minutes if you need it, which it might happen for us. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I did want to talk about the first period real quick and how quick Minnesota came out. I mean, the shots were 8-1 at 16:58. Like first 3 minutes, there were 8 shots by Minnesota. Were you all that concerned right off the bat?
Not really. I mean, Minnesota had played the night before, so it's kind of that's the time when you need to get ahead on those second nights of back-to-back. You need to use the fact that maybe your legs are a little bit fresher to begin with because you just used them the night before. Maybe you're a little bit quicker to the pucks initially, and they were. I mean, you're right. It was a complete onslaught to get started, but the Stars braved it really well. I didn't think they gave up a ton of great chances in that first little onslaught. It was a lot of perimeter work. They were keeping guys on the outside. They were minimizing the second chances off of rebounds or anything like that. Otter was holding onto the puck well. So I think that is it was an onslaught by the Wild, but I think that's a great example of kind of bend but don't break in that situation, because other teams, I mean, both sides are trying to win the hockey game, so the other side's going to have pushes. They're going to have stretches of the game where they're going to be pushing really hard. And it's one of the other things. It's not just about opposing your will. It's about how you react to what the other team does. And I thought they reacted really well to that, actually, because, I mean, right after that, they jump right on the board with a great timely goal. So I had no problem with it at all, actually.
And that timely goal was by we all knew that Esa Lindell was going to score, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like what is the deal with like certain players this year that they're just pulling off moves that I'm like, okay, Colin Blackwell, what the heck? Like he almost pulled a move where he had a open net backhand that was a beautiful deke. I mean, Esa Lindell shooting the puck like he's Miro Heiskanen, like through traffic. It was like pinpoint accuracy. Like, and I'm obviously talking about the first goal of the game here. It was from the high slot, and I was like, yeah, that's a great shot. And I was just like, that's not on Gustafsson at all. That's just a great shot, and he never saw the puck.
Yeah, what were the betting odds on Esa Lindell, Nathan Bastian, and Radek Faksa all having a goal in the first 3 games of the season?
Totally. I had that on my bucket list.
Had to be.
Yeah. And literally what started that goal, Chris, it was actually Mikko Rantanen, and he kind of helped push the momentum towards Dallas's favor. And by the 13-minute mark, Dallas was starting to kind of even the shots out a little bit. It was still 8-5. But Dallas was weathering the storm, and I kind of expected the way Minnesota played because they did play the night before. So yep. I halfway expected them to come out strong in the first period, knowing that they were probably going to be a little bit tired later on. So, and not only did Dallas weather the storm, but they got a goal and kind of put Minnesota in a hole early. I want to ask you specifically about Liam Bichsel because I had this one note in the first period. I don't know if Bichsel is playing bad or good right now. I know that's a weird thing to say, but it seems like every time I look, it's always one play bad, one play good, and it's never consistent. It's never like a whole bunch of bad plays or a whole bunch of good plays all together. Like it reminds me a lot of how Nils Lundkvist is playing right now. And just like you see the bad and the good, it is never consistent. What do you think that is? Because I saw a lot more good last year from Liam Bichsel than I did bad, and it feels like I'm just noticing it more. Is that fair?
Yeah, I really think it's more so the new system that's implemented. I mean, they've gone to a hybrid defense, so that's a combination of a man in a zone, and I think for guys like Bichsel and Lundkvist who are newer and their only real extended period of time in NHL hockey was playing that man system, it's easy for them to kind of switch back into that mode and chase their guy a little bit too far and not work around the net as hard. So I'm not too worried about it. I think it's more of a system thing, and that as they go through it, they'll stop thinking about where they're supposed to be, and they'll start just reacting to the play and just playing hockey. So I have seen a little bit of that, and even with guys like Miro, I thought Miro's had defensively a little bit of a tough start to the season, but I attribute that more to trying to learn a new system and being forced to think while playing instead of just getting to play.
Fair enough. The only other notes I really had in the first period, there were just chances galore after that for Dallas that I thought were really good. I mean, Bork has had his chances here in the first 3 games of the season. He hasn't been able to put one away really yet, but he's had chances. Rantanen had a chance with Harley setting him up. Duchene had a monster shift where he was just dominating everything in the offensive zone, and he was pulling off some fancy moves like he likes to do. And then towards the end of the first period, Wyatt Johnston does what he does. He scores a power play goal from down deep, and it was close in. It reminded me a lot of the shot that he had against Seattle in the playoffs when the Stars played that 7-game series against Seattle. And I think that was the goal that put Seattle away for good. And it looks like it's nothing, and it looks like he's just down in deep, and he's got no angle to get it in, and he's just able to find a way to get it into the net. Like he's just such a good player, and there was some chaos around him just before the goal, but he basically took it himself and put it away.
Yeah, his hands are so good. I mean, obviously, it was a great move to get in tight and to get to that scoring position, recognize that the defender didn't have the stick and take advantage of it. But you're absolutely right. He gets so close to the goalie, and you're like, there's no way he's able to get it past him here. And he just easily lifts it and roofs it on the high far side. Yeah, it is a super high skill play by Johnston. And I thought the rest of the first period, the Stars play better than the Wild. The entirety of the second, the Stars were better. And especially 5-on-5 in this game, I thought the Stars just dominated. And it was until the third period when the hit happened and the penalty started to come in that Minnesota was let in and made it a little bit of a hockey game.
Don't get there yet, because I got a couple more things I want to talk about.
Oof.
And I always like to give the short guys their due, because I think it's awesome when the short guys do good things, even if it is a member of the Minnesota Wild. But Wyatt Johnston had like a glorious chance, I literally in the final minute of the first period, and Jared Spurgeon said no and made a great defensive play to basically take out 2 of the Dallas Stars players and there was nothing. It looked like it was going to be a 2-on-0, and Jared Spurgeon just comes in there, dives, and takes them both out. So I got to give him his cupcakes for that. Dallas would go back on the power play. I thought it was really funny. Ryan Hartman, the famous one-time Dallas Star who never played a game for the Dallas Stars, took an interference minor. I thought it was hilarious. But beginning of the second, Duchene scored off a Bogosian skate. I was really hoping that was Steele's goal, but it was too fast to, just real time. But Duchene deserves that goal. He's looked really good in the first 3 games. It went 5-hole on Gustafsson, and hey, you'll take the lucky bounces sometimes.
Yep, and Steele was in a good spot there. I wonder if he would have been able to get his tape on it had it gotten through, I mean, he was battling hard in front there, which you like to see. I mean, you've got the lower skill guy up on the power play. That's kind of what you want him to do, right? Do the dirty work, and maybe it'll lead to what exactly happened, and the puck just rattles around and goes in. So that's good work by Steele on that one for sure. I did notice throughout the game, whenever Steele was on that top line, it just felt like that was just wrong, Like it would be Rope and Mikko flying around the ice, and then Steele would just kind of be around and not really be able to help in those situations. So
he was the little chain that could.
Right. Yeah. So I get what goalie's doing, and I'm wondering if this kind of constant line shuffling is just going to be the MO for the whole season. But it just, I don't know. I think you limit yourself greatly by having Steele play with 2 guys with that much skill. I mean, because there's situations I see, like if they're coming up on a rush, where I'm like, man, if Robo's in that spot, like how much more dangerous does that rush chance look? So I don't know. We'll see how it goes throughout the season, but that was good work down low by Steele to fight for your position and get in the right spot at least, even if it didn't technically go off of him, it went off the defender.
Well, I think the reason why they try to start that way, excuse me, is that if you put Robertson up on that top line like you probably should, then that doesn't really give Wyatt anybody to play with if he plays center, right? I mean, I know that Maverick Bork is still there and Justin Ritzkovian, who has some skill, is also there as well. But no offense to either one of those guys, but they're no Matt Duchene, Tyler Seguin, Mikko Rantanen, Roope Hintz, right? So if you, I mean, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but in those situations, we're generally seeing whenever Robo goes up and makes the supernova line, we see Johnston go up on the second line with Duchene and Seguin. So I think it just makes way more sense than trying to spread out the offense. I mean, what am I saying though? He scored 15 goals in 3 games. So
obviously something has worked.
Yeah.
I am so sorry, y'all. I'm yawning like every 5 seconds. Okay. Looking at my notes from the second period, there wasn't a ton here. I did want to point out Blackwell had a breakaway. I thought that was really interesting. He has slowly shown that he's got some wheels. I mean, I always knew he had some wheels, but if he could just put some away, maybe he can play on the third line more often than just a fourth line.
Right, but unfortunately, the only way you can describe Blackwell on the breakaway is interesting, not necessarily dangerous.
I was trying to be nice, but I'm rooting for the guy. Again, another shorter guy who I really want to see get his cupcakes as well.
Yeah, well, he's showing the speed too. So especially if you get in the playoffs, like
he's always had that.
Right. Say you're 100% healthy going into the playoffs. If you're playing a team like Minnesota that's a little bit heavier, a little bit more physical, maybe you have Bastion in there and switch it and say you're playing Edmonton, you might want to have Blackwell more than Bastion. So I think it gives you a good little tool in your belt to be able to switch a guy in that can add a little bit more, even if it is just on the fourth line.
Here's some more notes I had. Here's more about Bichsel. Bichsel turns the puck over in the neutral zone. But even though I'm writing that about Bichsel, I look down a little further, and then I have this. Where did I have it? It was Esa Lindell. Yeah. He had 2 turnovers that were kind of back-to-back that were very un-Esa-like. I can't really think of another word to describe it, but he's had his moments where he has kind of not done the right defensive play, or he's got himself into into kind of a bad situation. But I mean, they've rolled with the punches a little bit, and that's I'm just a little bit surprised that some of the players that I expected to be really good defensively have not been, but yet I think one of the biggest things you could kind of point at in these first 3 games is how often the defense has been involved in the offense. I mean, especially I know we're all talking about Nils Lundkvist because we really want to root for the guy, and he was so good last year defensively before he got hurt. But it's like he's been more involved with stuff. Harley's been more involved. And then so has even Esa. Esa has a goal early on in the season. Like that's not normal for Esa Lindell to take a shot like that. And but what's even more surprising is that we haven't seen as much from the one that we really expected, and that was Miro Heiskanen. Like he's still been very good, and other than falling down in the last game, which caused the game tie, the game tying goal, he's been very good. It's just looking at the decor, it's almost like it's been turned over on its head from what I expected.
Yeah, well, like I said, I still think that's more due to changes. So even those breakouts have changed as well. So last season you saw Stars like bail the zone a lot, and that's why Esa Lindell's go-to play every time was just the high flip and do a Hail Mary pass to whoever's blowing the defensive zone. And this year you're seeing a lot more of the forward coming in a lot deeper, almost like down to the half wall to help support the defenseman to get the puck out. And that's also why a lot more of those turnovers aren't as immediately dangerous as they have been in the past. So if you look at some of the turnovers the Stars had last year, it was like immediately into a scoring chance. And this year, yeah, they might have turned it over, but you're just giving away possession. It's not quite as catastrophic as giving away a high danger chance, because you've already got that extra forward back there. You've got more support. So it's a little bit more structured coming out of their own zone. And I think that helps minimize some of the counterattack that other teams can employ with their forecheck.
This was just the thing I noticed because I'm also looking at my notes through the second and third period. It felt like Minnesota had a lot of chances and they were just whiffing on several of their open chances. And I mean, Dallas had like one or two, but it felt like Minnesota had like 5 or 6 or 6 or 7. Okay. So, I mean, again, am I crazy on that, or is that just something that you noticed as well?
I don't know. I didn't really notice it. I thought the Stars were doing a good job of keeping them outside and not letting them get interior.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I actually agree with you in the fact that I thought they played very well, especially after they the early shot discrepancy. But I just felt like there were a lot of chances that Minnesota had that they just whiffed on, or they just weren't able to fully get going. But okay, I guess we can move on to this. And some of the penalties in this game, Chris said, I think there were like 3 holding calls, and Stars fans were understandably upset about it. And some of them were very ticky tacky, and it feels. I guess this is their penalty to watch this year. They always have like a penalty that they kind of focus on early on in the season. I think last year it was like cross checking, and the year before that it was interference. I guess this year it's holding because it was like 3 in a row against Dallas that were called on us.
Yeah, I don't know if I disagreed with any of them, to be honest with you. I mean, each time the Stars player was out of position, they were behind their guy, and they had a free hand. They had it wrapped around him. So, I mean, that's a hold to me. Maybe you can argue maybe there was some that the Stars could have gotten called. Sure, I'd have to see them, but I thought each one of those was a hold. I thought it was a good call.
Okay, before we get to the Duchene hit, because that's the next thing I wanted to talk about, I got to be consistent with what I say about officiating and making calls and all that sort of stuff. Okay, because there were all, and again, understandably, there were a lot of Stars fans that were very upset about some of the calls. And like, okay, fine, whatever. If you want to be upset about them, be upset about them. I agree with some of them that they were really ticky tacky. I thought they were kind of, lame and pathetic. But what some people were saying is, oh, well, they're just trying to get Minnesota back into the game and everything like that. But here's the thing. Dallas can still go through and take care of the penalty kills just fine. Like that, if they're a championship caliber team, which everybody says they still are, they're a top 5 team in the NHL, and still, then these are the kind of things that you have to take care of. And you just have to get over the fact that refs are going to make bad calls. It's just going to happen. So I'm going to be consistent in saying this and saying that, yes, I thought some of the calls were ticky-tacky, but Dallas should have been able to kill off some of those penalties.
Yeah, for sure. I would have really liked to see them kill off the Petro instigator. I mean, just that feels like that could have been emotional morale kind of kill, So to miss out on that one, that kind of stunk.
Okay, so let's jump on this Duchene hit by Jacob Middleton. Jacob Middleton is not known as a dirty player. Now, the Minnesota Wild are known as a very, I don't want to say dirty team, but a very hard-hitting team, and that's kind of their MO, is very physical.
And Middleton's a physical guy. He can hit.
I'm saying,
and
I'm not
fight,
saying that he can't.
obviously.
So, Darren, pulling up this question here, it's similar to what I was going to ask you. Is there an issue with a shoulder-to-head hit? Honest question. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, that's where I think hockey is a little bit different from other sports. So for that hit, I mean, he stays on the ice. His body's in one position. He's got the arm tucked. And the only reason Duchene's head gets hit is because it's out in front. So, I mean, he's reaching. That's what it is. Now, if you're playing football and Duchene's the quarterback, then you'd say, all right, it's still up to the hitter to protect who he's hitting. That's not the way the hockey rules are. I mean, Middleton did everything correctly. He stayed down, never left his feet, even post contact. He was still on the ice, which is really hard to do. So I honestly, I don't have a problem with the no penalty based off the way the rules are. Now, there is definitely an argument to be made that it should be a penalty if the initial point of contact is the head. But that's not the way the rule is. The hitting to the head is when you target the head specifically, and that was not done. Middleton hit the entirety of his body. Just so happened he got hit with the head with the shoulder cap because Duchene's head was out in front. So according to the way the rules are, that was a clean hit. I think that's a fine hit to make. I think he did everything right. And I think Petrovic did the right thing to go take an instigator penalty and go try and beat him up for it.
And you know what? Good for Middleton to drop the gloves and answer for what he did. There's a bro code there. There's an unwritten rule for hockey. That's one of them. He answered the bell after the hit that he made, and at least he did that correct. I tend to agree with you. Like it did look like he hit his head, but I'm not sure if it was the initial point of contact. I still need to go back and look at more, replays and stuff like that. But my initial gut reaction was I didn't think that was a completely dirty hit.
Oh, initially I did. I saw his chin fly up, and I was heated.
Yeah,
but the way
the
head rule is, it's targeting the head and hitting the head specifically, and that's not what happened on the hit.
I'm not sure how I feel about it still. But I'm kind of leaning in that direction, and just for those that are listening to the podcast and don't know, the news about Matt Duchene, he is day to day, and he is not being rolled out for the next game for the Dallas Stars. So it doesn't sound like it's something serious. If it was a true blown out concussion, I think we would know about it, and he would be out week to week or indefinitely, because you never know with concussions how long they take to recover from. But it seems like he's okay. Like.
It's also worth noting that Gulutzan said after the game that he thought the hit was high. So
he didn't say it was dirty. He thought it was high, which is different.
Right, well, when he says that, he's saying he doesn't like the hit, said it was high. He's implying that he thinks it's a hit to the head.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, and you can see it. I mean, you see Duchene's head fly up. That it for sure seems like that. And when I first saw the hit, that's what I thought too. So
there were some Colorado Avalanche accounts that were like excited to see Matt Duchene get hurt. I was just like, really? Like, really? I hate social media so much sometimes.
I choose to believe that's not most Colorado fans.
I agree, but it's some that have a lot of followers that were saying stuff like that. Doesn't matter. Going into the second intermission, and this was before the Duchene hit, that I was talking with James during that second intermission, right before it got started, and he was all gung-ho and excited, and he thought the Stars had a good game. And I pumped the brakes a little bit because I said, great, they're up 3-0. That's great. You are doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're beating a team who, they're still a pretty decent team, but they're on a second night of a back-to-back, and you should be winning this game because you're also at home. So you have numerous excuses to win this game. And I was just like, they've got to figure out how to close it out correctly. And if you ask me, Chris, I don't believe that they closed it out correctly. And I'll talk about how I feel about the generality of all three games here, and I'll get your thoughts on it. And this was the thing I was telling you about off air before we got started, that James couldn't stand about what I was saying. But anyways, to kind of recap the third period, long story short, Boldy with a ridiculous tip to kind of start the comeback.
Great goal.
And then Kaprizov he does Kaprizov things. It was an amazing snipe over Otter's glove, and it was a screen set up by Erikssonek, who is a good player in and of himself. And it felt like it was all Minnesota. I mean, at 7:35 in the third period, it was 34-22 in shots for Minnesota.
Ton of momentum.
Yes, correct. And so the complete opposite of what we saw in the Winnipeg game. Like the Stars were just hounding them and on top of them and had almost triple the amount of shots. And the Minnesota Wild here were letting the Stars have it. And what was frustrating me is that I understand that a lot of it was along the perimeter, and that was a big talking point by a lot of others coming out of this game. They didn't control the puck very much in the third period. And what's even more frustrating is this is the sixth period that the Minnesota Wild have played in the last 24 hours up to that point. And I'm like, this should not be happening. You should not be asking your goalie to make a whole bunch of extra saves, which he did. And, whether they were of the grade A chance doesn't matter to me. What matters is they didn't close out the game correctly. And, I mean, obviously, the two empty netters, one by Fox and one by Hintz. And the score is a little bit unindicative of what happened in the third period. But were you upset with how the Stars went about their business in the third period?
Yeah, well, I agree with kind of both of y'all. I thought the first two periods overall were good for the Stars. I thought those were good periods. And yeah, I think it's happened every single game the Stars have played so far this year where they have a long stretch that's not good. And we saw it all last year. You couldn't put together a full 60-minute effort, and same thing has happened so far this year. I won't go all the way to say I was disappointed in it because, I mean, they gave the Wild, like you said, what was it, 7 full minutes with only a 1-goal deficit and all the momentum in the world, and they're still able to hang on to that and find a way to win. I mean, I think that speaks volumes too. So, yeah, I'd love for them to just pound them, keep the shutout alive, just fully suffocate them. Like you said, they should have been tired. It didn't look like they were, which it's early in the season. And man, the Wild are just, they've got some power on their forecheck. So you got to give them credit for that. But yeah, I more am happy with the way that they're able to overcome that momentum that they gave the Wild and to still find a way to win the hockey game. That's more impressive to me than I am worried about the way that they played the period in general. Because I think learning how to win is a lot more important and a lot more impressive than being the Wild in that situation and having nothing to lose and trying to come back.
With that being said, I got to give Joe his credit here. Good pun on words here. It's a fool that looks for logic in the chambers of an Avs fan's heart. I see what you did there, Joe. That was very clever with the words there. And I agree with you to a certain point. But there are some good Colorado Avalanche fans that I know that are good people. And they hate that Mikko Rantanen is here, though. they hate that he's here and just destroying the Colorado Avalanche at anytime he can. Did you? Sorry, side tangent. Did you see Jared Bednar's press post game conference? He said he hopes he never sees the Dallas Stars again.
Yes, that was hilarious, and you didn't have to say that, Jared. We all knew that.
Yes. Well, if he gets his wish at least for a little while. We don't see the Colorado Avalanche again till March, which I think is a really dumb thing.
I think it's awesome
by the schedule makers. That's stupid. I'm sorry. It's like I get cool. You're trying to save it for the end of the season to kind of build up the hope and the hype that's around there. But still, it's like I don't like that. But
I love it. It's matter. Great job, schedule makers. Don't listen to them.
Okay, shut up, Chris. Well, you're not gonna like me on this next thing because this is what I was gonna tell you about. I am very frustrated with the Stars in how they have closed out games. They have been able to win all three. That's great. And they have all the excuses in the world in why they have not been able to close out games like this. They've got a new system they're trying to implement. It's early in the season. They've got some new guys around here. Some guys are playing with different guys, although most of the duos have kind of stayed together a little bit. I mean, there has not been one game out of the three that I have felt really good about. Not one. And so let's recap all of this. 5-1 against Winnipeg, I was over the moon. I was just like, this is incredible. I love to see this team and how they're playing. And then they let them back into the game 5-4, and basically like chewing our nails off on our fingernails, hoping that they were going to win the game. And then Colorado, they had to lean upon Jay Gottinger to basically do all of the work for them, especially in the final 5 minutes of the third, and then that gargantuan save that he made on Natchez in the overtime. And then here tonight on Tuesday, yesterday, they blow basically a 3-goal lead. And I have not once this season early on, I understand it's a new system. I understand, but my thing is, this team is not, I'm not going to make excuses for this team. And maybe that's a hot take for me and everything like that, but it is a cup or bust season, and they need to be able to handle these leads and be able to handle them appropriately for a contending team. And we have seen some other teams who have taken care of business against some of the top teams have taken care of business. And I've just been frustrated watching the Stars, especially in third periods. And maybe that I'm just being completely, utterly ridiculous, and I shouldn't be acting like this at all with this, but I want to feel better about a win. That's the good thing about all of this, is that the Stars are 3-0 after all of this. So how are you? What do you think about all of this, Chris? Am I crazy? Am I not? Do I just need to keep my mouth shut and just continue on, or what do you think? I think we lost Chris, everybody. Well, while he's trying to come back, yeah, everyone remember when my internet was the one that was all messed up and gross? There he goes. Yeah, see, his internet was messed up. Hopefully he'll be back here in a second. But anyways, y'all let me know down in the comments like what you think, because that's like the super fan in me not being happy with little things like that. So again, maybe I'm probably being overly critical, but I don't care. Like, I want to see this team succeed, and and Mato, I agree with you. They'll get it together. I have faith. I have faith too, because I mean, look at what they've done. They've blown leads late in third periods, and they've still been able to win all three games. And Otter, I don't want to say he was bad in the first game, but he wasn't, like 100% fantastic. And then he pulls the game that he did against Colorado, which was fantastic. Like, that's one of the best games that I think I've seen him play in a while, especially regular season wise. And he gave up 4 goals. That was the thing, is he gave up 4 goals, and he probably should have been on, the 3 stars list, in my personal opinion. And obviously he wasn't, because it's, they kind of go for kind of hometown, people that when it's a home game, they typically go for their own players. But whatever, it's a thing. It's whatever. D-Hog 31, they're learning a new system and trying to purge some of the crap defensive schemes that old Pete, throw your goalie under the bus, had them running. And I get that. I even mentioned that, but I'm done making excuses, right? Like, you're allowed to make those excuses now and it be okay. But I don't even want those excuses to come up even now, early on in the season, because I'm over it. I mean, it's got to be Stanley Cup or bust with this team, at least for me. Darren saying we were 4-0 last season, not looking that great, doing the same old DeBoer things. Yes, but some of those wins felt a lot better than any of these wins did. So, and maybe it's just because it left a sour taste in my mouth because it's the third period and it's the final period. So, like, maybe if how the Stars played in the third period against Winnipeg was their first period, and the first period was actually their third period, maybe I would feel better about that. I don't know, maybe, but actually, I probably would feel better about that, to be honest with you. But the thing is they've got to figure out how to finish. They've got to figure out how to finish, and they've got to be able to hold these leads now, because you don't want to be relying upon 3 and 4 and 5 goal leads going into the end of the regular season. That's just my personal opinion, and you can call me crazy for thinking that, but that's just how I feel right now and everything. Let's take a look at a lot of y'all have some really good comments, by the way. So yeah, y'all keep them coming. It's early, but the PTSD is real. Okay, so Nate is leaning my way, but he's not quite there in how I'm feeling. I'm kind of on an island by myself right now. The weak finishes are giving the team a target to improve on. Okay, that's a positive way of thinking about it, Joe. I like the positivity. D-Hog 31. All in all, I think our offense will be elite and our D will grow all season. I agree with you on the offensive stuff already. I think it's already there because we're seeing it from defensemen. I mean, do we have anybody that got double digits in terms of goals for defensemen? And we would expect probably Miro and Harley both to get there. And yeah, Miro was hurt for most of the regular season, but I mean, Nils Lundqvist was also hurt, and he didn't look great, fantastically offensively last year. But we're already seeing it early on that some of these defensemen jumping up in rushes, and not just in the rush, but kind of getting down into the zone at the right point to take a shot or be in the right place at the right time to have that extra guy to be like, oh crud, there's another guy to cover. That's happened already a couple times within the first 3 games. I like it. I would like that to continue, but I would like to see the third period grow still. Darren, do you want their best game in the first game? That's a decent point. Okay, you're making me think a little bit, Darren. That's fair enough. I don't want to see their best game in the first game. I want to see their best game all the time. And I know that is not logical and that's not going to happen. But I am not happy with a loss unless the other team just truly, really was the better team. And there are points in the early season where we weren't the better team. And like, for example, Ottinger stood on his head against Colorado. That's just one thing. D-Hog saying, I love Otter, but he also needs to get better on breakaways. I feel almost zero confidence when another team gets a breakaway. That's funny you say that, because that reminds me of back in, I don't remember what season it was. I think it was 2015-16 when Lindy Ruff was here and they were first in the Western Conference. And I think it was Lettinen and Niemi, and they were spending like, I think 13 or 14 million dollars on goaltending, and both of these guys were starters at that point, or were considered starters. But it didn't matter. It felt like if there was a scoring chance, you just had that gut feeling that, oh crud, that's going in the back of the net, and it almost always did. And with Ottinger early this season, that hasn't felt that way. In the first game, I would agree with you, D-Hog, but I don't know if I would agree with you after that. Because especially in the Colorado game, he was just fantastic. And again, the Marty Necas save that he made at the end of the third, and then the Marty Necas save that he made in overtime were just fantastic. He was there. He was there and he was keeping his team in the game. Let's see. Not in any way saying that Otter is bad, just that he needs to be better at that. That's fair. I'm sure he knows that too. Um, Darren saying Craig Ludwig has been far less critical. I have noticed that on DLLS. I've been watching their shows almost daily. I haven't gotten to watch the one today, if they did one today, but uh, he has been far less critical, especially in the D zone coverage, which he was like, "Hey, goalie, I got some I got some suggestions for you. Maybe goalie is watching DLLS and taking those into account. No matter who the goalie is, breakaways are 50-50. Not always. I think that sometimes it's in the guy's head, especially if it's one of the better goalies and the shooter realizes it's one of the better goalies in the NHL. I think that the goalie has the upper hand on that. Yeah, he is just glad they are not playing zone. Yeah, haha, agreed. Zone has been winning cups. Yeah, the zone defense has been winning cups, but if you watch the defense carefully early on in the season, it has been kind of a hybrid system. And I don't really know how to describe it yet because I'm still trying to analyze it and figure it out for myself. But it is very interesting, and maybe that's why the third periods have been bad, is just because the Stars are still trying to figure it out. And when they take their foot off the gas, then that's the more likely when chance that their brain kind of goes a little bit slower, and then they give up more opportunities and stuff like that. But I don't know. I truly don't know or what to expect from any of this, but let's see. Chris says his internet is fully dead. Gonna take me a while to get it back on, so I'm probably not gonna be back. And literally 2 minutes after that, yeah, it's not coming back. That's okay. We'll finish it up here. He gave me a lot. I really wanted to know his thoughts on how I felt though. But obviously you guys put a lot of thought into your comments. So thank y'all for doing that. Um, let's see. The only other thing that I think I wanted to throw out here is the forward lines and how goalie has utilized the lines has been very interesting as well. He has just been going left and right, and he is not afraid to make changes to lines. So like we've seen that these lines where like Steele's on the top line and Ritzkovian is on the second line or whatever, but that hasn't been staying the same way throughout the game. Even when they were scoring a bunch of goals and stuff like that. Even when the offense seemed to do really well, it just seemed like the lines for Dallas on the offensive side and their forwards has just been in the blender the entire 3 games. And I want to say that goalie is still trying to figure out what ticks, what works the best. Maybe this is just his style. Maybe he just decides, okay, we really need a goal right here. And then he just goes full on nuclear with offensive guys if it's an offensive zone draw. So if it's an offensive zone draw, Stars are down 3-2, then maybe you're more likely to see, Robo, Rantanen, and Hintz together. We've even seen Hintz off of the quote unquote top line, and we've seen Joe in the middle of Rantanen and Robo. So I mean, we've seen that even. We've seen some weird lines where Steele was back playing in the center, which he hasn't done very much over the last year and a half or so. So maybe this is just the way that he does things. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at the way that Edmonton does their lines, it is very similar to this. And it took me a little bit to realize this, but when you look at the Edmonton Oilers lines and how Chris Knobloch kind of runs his lines, typically you want to keep both uh both McDavid and Draisaitl on their separate lines because they're both number one centermen. Like they can handle their own line. But when they have an offensive zone draw, and especially when they're down, how often do we see those two guys together? I mean, we've seen a lot. of the Edmonton Oilers the last 2 seasons in the playoffs, and we've seen a lot of them even in the regular season. And I can tell you that happened a lot, quite a bit for the Edmonton Oilers against Dallas. So maybe this is just something that Glenn Gulutzan noticed Chris Knobloch do, and he's like, you know what? I don't necessarily have a McDavid and a Leon Draisaitl, but I've got a Wyatt Johnston and I've got a Robe Hintz, who are very interchangeable and can do similar things to that. And if I feel like that Wyatt Johnston needs to have someone to play with, maybe Robo needs to be playing with him, and that's why that we've seen those two guys together sometimes, and seeing Steele on the top line. I'm jumping down a rabbit hole that's just going to keep me going into a circle or whatever. But what I'm interested to know in the comments down below, or even if you want to leave us an email or whatever, like, what are your thoughts on this? Because the argument for a lot of this is, well, the chemistry is really important, and those players really need to be able to figure it out. And there's a clear argument for that, a very clear argument for that. But this also kind of makes sense. And one of the things that frustrated us last year with Pete DeBoer is that he was very, very stubborn when he made a decision. Like, when he made a decision, he would be like, no, these guys are staying together like this. And then when he made a decision, it was too late. And for example, the decision to pull Jake Ottinger might have been too late. Maybe you just pull Ottinger in game 4 instead of in game 5, and see if Casey DeSmith can get it back, get the game back in game 4. And then even if you don't, maybe that fires up Jake Ottinger for game 5. I don't know. Again, it's in a parallel universe where that happens, and we will never know. But it's interesting to know how the forward lines are going to be moving forward. No pun intended, I swear. But seriously, let me know. Let me know if you're kind of leaning more towards the chemistry aspect, and that the players need to play with each other more, because that will be the best for the team moving forward. Or is it best, getting some new guys and getting some fresh legs on different lines and trying to figure it out now before they get to the playoffs? I don't know. I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Well, I am going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I apologize that Chris disappeared. His internet crapped out on him, so he gets the Internet of the Year award for Central Texas there. But I appreciate you guys following live along with me here this evening. If you have been, there's even more of you who are listening afterwards. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you click like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I'm here for you guys to talk hockey, even after a long day at work. So please show me some love. I'd appreciate it. And as always, if you're listening on the audio side too, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. That we would really appreciate that. And that's the best way to kind of help us grow in what we do. We're getting really, really, really close to 1,000 subscribers, which is a huge milestone on for YouTube's algorithm and stuff like that. They'll start throwing our stuff in more into the algorithm once you get to 1,000 subscribers. So please do so. Nate, I love your comment. Chris just didn't want to acknowledge. He didn't want to acknowledge Roddick Fox either. I was gonna give him some crap for not acknowledging Foxa, and I think Chris just learned that Ryan picked Tony the Tiger last episode. That's a good one too. I was right, by the way. I was still right, and I stand by that. James still thinks I'm an idiot, but he's classic. Okay, I'm not gonna get into it. I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole and be here for another 10 minutes. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. Use that promo code THPN next time you are there to get some free goodies from them. And as always, alongside Chris, at least for most of the time, my name is Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. We hope you guys have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. We'll be back with you guys again on Sunday night, and we'll be talking more hockey. Go Stars.